Hola, welcome back. I'm gonna do a new video here. What I'm gonna do in this video is show. Well, I mentioned in my other videos that I was in the process of moving, and so my roommate was coming to town. My ex roommate, and I told him to bring up as much stuff as he could from my old place. So he brought some stuff, and he brought some more of my vinyl that I had back there. Not all of it yet, because a lot of it I told him I didn't trust him grabbing, so I told him to, leave that be and just grab the bulk of the stuff. So anyway, I'm going to show you a few albums that I left out from the full collection videos at the beginning. Just ones that I didn't include, that I didn't have with me. And then I'm going to do a couple videos of some new stuff that I picked up. So I guess I'll go ahead and get started on that. I went through a bunch, and if you watched them, then you'll see the ones that I already showed and stuff like that. So anyway, I'll just get started. Starting with Kick Out the Jams by MC5. Of course, a really good album, really good live album from the hugely influential band. And I mentioned this, and I actually prefer, Back in the USA a little bit better, but this is a great album nonetheless. Great band too. I mean, I wish they would have released more material. They were kind of that beginning of punk rock type sound, but also like beginning of that psychedelic rock kind of thing too. Not the beginning, but like the heavier, more like punk driven psychedelic stuff. Not the hippie, peace, love, psychedelic stuff. It was way different. It really was hard hitting, and a lot of people hated it because they were like, "Oh, it's so harsh," but it was good shit. So, really good live album. All right, up next we got, of course, Led Zeppelin 2, another classic. I mean, who doesn't like Led Zeppelin? Who doesn't like John Bonham? Of course. Who doesn't like Jimmy Page? This one's in pretty good condition. It's actually the only copy I have, and I found a really good copy of it. So there's that. Up next, Paranoid by Black Sabbath. Another great album. Master of Reality is probably my favorite Sabbath record, followed by self-titled first album. But this is a classic too. This is probably my third favorite, and it's the third album. So really good shit. Can't go wrong there. I'm a huge fan of good drummers, and Bill Ward is one of my favorite drummers. And yeah, he's awesome. And I love that Tony Iommi is so influential in his guitar playing because I don't know if you know the story about his fingertips getting chopped off, and he had to down tune his guitar in order to play without, being in pain. And a lot of people say that that's what's responsible for creating that metal guitar sound, or what would become metal. But yeah, it was just some heavy ass guitar, and I loved it. All right, up next is "Working Man's Dead" by the Dead, Grateful Dead, and yeah, actually this and "Anthems of the Sun" and "American Beauty" are the only Dead albums I own. "American Beauty" I think is my favorite, but this is probably a close second. It's great. So many classic tunes on here. Of course, Casey Jones, which everybody knows, the high on cocaine song, as a lot of people call it. Yeah, then of course, "Easy Win" is a great song. Uncle John's Band. "Dire Wolf" is one of my favorite Dead songs ever. Really, it's more mellow, but it's really awesome. And they were great songwriters. Really ahead of their time, I thought, because a lot of the bands that were them and the band, and I think they toured together too. But two bands that really were kind of doing stuff that the other bands were doing at the time. Because like I said, it's that whole hippie, peace, rock and roll type thing. And they were doing some really crazy awesome songwriting. So, yeah, I have a lot of respect for those guys and the band, which I don't own any of their albums, which I wish I did. Their self-titled album is incredible. And also really love Music from the Big Pink. But I don't have any of either of them, so I probably will one day, but not right now. All right, up next, I showed Weasel's "Rip My Flesh" in the other video, and brought a couple other Frank Zappa albums up, including "Hot Rats," which is probably my favorite other than Freak Out, the Mothers of Invention album. But I don't actually have that on vinyl. I have the CD copy, and never found it on vinyl, or not for a good price at least. But yeah, Hot Rats, I've had this for a while, and this gets a lot of play. It's great. Nothing more can be said about it. It's kind of a classic, if you ask me. I love Frank Zappa because, he's not only how great of a guitar player he was, but also because of just the musicality of his songwriting. Incorporating the jazz and psychedelic rock and weird lyrics, with the amazing guitar playing, kind of all thrown together. Makes for a really interesting type of music, and I love Frank Zappa. I think he's great. That's one of his best albums. All right, up next, Plastic Surgery Disasters of the Dead Kennedys. I'm a huge Dead Kennedys fan. East Bay Ray, one of my favorite guitar players. Another really influential guitar player for so many bands to come after. And, of course, Jello Biafra. And just a really awesome band. I really like this album artwork, too. It's got that, cool suburban background thing with the water tower. And then, of course, the little African hand. And I love the pink letters and the black and white photograph. Actually, if you watch the movie Natural Born Killers, I'm sure a lot of you have seen that, but this water tower is in the scene of the movie right before Woody Harrelson's character comes to pick up and kind of kidnap Juliette Lewis's character. And Rodney Dangerfield's looking out the kitchen window, and you can see this exact water tower out the window. And I noticed that last time I watched it. I was like, oh, wow, that's on the Dead Kennedys album. But anyway, yeah, little fact for you. But yeah, great album. If you haven't heard that, it's by far their best, if you ask me. I like it more than Fresh Fruit and Rotting Vegetables, which is their first. I don't know why, just personally. And I used to own the CD copy of the double LP that was this and Jesus Incorporated together on one CD, and I used to play that just into the ground, like in middle school. That was my 8th grade year, all the way. Moon Over Marin, great song, or album ender, because it doesn't even sound like a Dead Kennedy song. It's a lot less punk, more rock and roll, and just it's kind of a pop song, but I think it's great, and I love it. All right, up next is Doors' self-titled album, first album. Truly, truly a classic, one of the best albums of all time, if you ask me. Soul Kitchen, Crystal Ship, the song The End. There's too many to name. This whole thing's great all the way through. Jim Morrison is another personal hero of mine. He's kind of an asshole, and he was kind of a drunk, insane person, but as far as lyrics go, one of the best lyricists of all time, I think. And also one of the best voices of all time. He could hit every note, and he had that real sweet, that great voice. But then he could howl too. I love it. And especially on this album, he really showed his range. On some of the later stuff, he stuck to more of the singing, but he was howling on this thing, and I loved it. Jim Morrison, yeah. Another person who will be missed, of course. All right, up next, really not so in good condition copy of Abbey Road, but it is an original pressing, and that's kind of cool. And actually, my uncle gave me this. He bought it when it came out, and it just kind of sat there. And of course, he did play it because it's kind of worn, but the LP itself is in great condition, so it sounds really, really good. Just the cover is kind of worn, but yeah, really, great copy. And of course, I don't have to say anything about Abbey Road. You know how good it is. One of the first albums to do that. First half of the album be one thing, and then separate songs, and then the second half be that long, just kind of one thought mixed up into 8 different songs. I thought it was one of the coolest ideas ever, and I've always wanted to make an album like that, but they thought of it first, and way back then too. So, all right, well, I'm gonna wrap this video up and start another one right after, and upload a couple tonight. All right, thanks guys.